Alright, so a uh, a recent movement that's kind of going on in the web today, because there's so many different devices. It's called responsive design, and so that's having your content respond based on the browser size, the window size, the monitor, all that stuff, right? So if I were to scale this browser window, you can see that everything is static. It doesn't move. Okay, so if you're on a smaller monitor, the user will actually have to scroll, and that's not very usable. So if you're on an iPad, same thing, not very usable. You have to scroll around, and it gets worse as you go down on a mobile device. So we need to make sure that our content is flexible and responds based on the browser window size. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start off first with this nav bar. Okay, with the nav bar selected, right down here, all of these sizes and positions are fixed. Okay, so they're fixed sizes and position. What we can do, we can say, hey, you know what? From the left side, let's make it 5% of that total width of the bar entirely. And the width of the bar entirely would be 90%. And then another 5% there, padding on the side. In fact, if I save this, you can view it in a browser and resize this window. You can see how that reacts. That's exactly what we want. In fact, from there, what we want to do is move this section to move accordingly as well. So that's alright, maybe we want it always to be 60% of the width of the browser window and still give it that 5% padding on the side. To keep in mind, now it's actually going to be floating on the right side, so it'll be a little bit different. So we go in here to this item right here, select it. It happens to be this div, and what I can do for this tag, I can change this, for instance, from the left hand side. Well, I don't want it to be fixed at 425, so I'm just going to delete that entirely, just like that. Well, that doesn't seem quite right, but we'll get there. The width, well, we can make it 60%, just like that. Well, okay, that's good, but how do we make it float on the right hand side? Well, need to go beyond this properties panel. Again, it's for this section tag. I can double click on it to edit the CSS rule definition, and I could go down in here to the box category, and I can say, hey, you know what? Go ahead and float to the right hand side. Float it on the right. In fact, for the positioning, don't make the position absolute. Make it relative. That's going to be the position. Clicking apply, it floats it over there. Also, right down here from the right hand side, let's give it that 5% padding. Clicking apply, we can move that in. That will line up. With all that in place, I can save this and preview it in a browser. There is my section, and it expands and contracts accordingly. So good. All right. So two more things. Looks pretty good so far. So what we want to do is we want these elements right here to be flush with the nav bar. Okay. So for that, from the left hand side, we're going to make it always 5%. And then for this element, the header, we don't want that 100 pixels. Again, make that 5% as well. The total browser width. Alright, save that, preview it in a browser. And there we have it. Nice and flexible. It can go from large to small. What also is happening here is that this is really the last thing I'm going to visually is I don't want the background to get cut as well. So we need that background to scale down as well. We want it to still cover, but we want it to make sure that it fills that browser window. So I'm going to have the background scale. So close that. Now I'm going to go find my background, and then you're going to select the body tag, and you're going to see right down here, I can double click in it, go to the background right here, and you will start to look in here, and you'll notice, well, there's this background repeat, background attachment. Well, I can change that to fixed, so it's always going to stay in a fixed position, so the content will scroll. So I like that. but the background cover is not in here. So I'll just click OK. What I can do is add a property right here, because there's even more properties available. Then, alright, yep, take a look at these various CSS properties, and I can add to this element. So I'll scroll up. I want to locate the background. There's quite a few in here, quite a few properties, and background size is what we want to select. Okay, select that. I'm going to check out my options for it right here. We got auto, contain, which means it will always be contained. You will see the entire image that you want it to cover, regardless of the size or the aspect ratio of the browser. So we'll select the cover, and I think that will do it. And we will save this page. And here's the fun part: it's previewing it in the browser. So drag it smaller, you can see that nice full image. It looks pretty good. It scales down. So this is what we mean when we say responsive design. Having this flexible layout, you can see how wonderful this works and how beneficial this will be for your end user.